Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. We are excited to record some episodes here with Yasmin Whitmer of Whitmer Law. Yasmin specializes in restoration law, working with restoration contractors. And we're going to dive into a lot of the contract and lien and misconceptions and just all of the fun things there are to talk about the legal system with Yasmin. Yasmin, thank you so much for being willing to sit down and record some episodes with us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I look forward to being here and providing some valuable information that our contractors can take away and um, better their systems, processes, and businesses. And as a brief background about myself, I am a Michigan based attorney, and my focus is representing property restoration companies in all aspects of their legal needs. It doesn't always have to be lawsuits, it doesn't always have to be collections. I do a lot of contract drafting, reviewing, negotiating, working on issues you may have within the company, just any legal issues. And a lot of them is just fun stuff, creating new systems for you. So I'm here to help. I want to be a resource. If I can't help you guys, or if there's this is but if we need to reach out to an attorney within your state, I'll connect you with someone that I can trust so they can help you as well. But my goal is here to just be a resource so you guys have a resource you can go to who understands the business as well. I mean, there's a lot of great attorneys out there that I think we can all work with.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump in. I feel like I'm going to learn some things as we go here today and have this conversation as well. But when we talked offline, we talked a lot about liens and contracts, and so a lot of what we're going to talk about today will kind of fit in one of those two paths. Let's maybe start on the lien side of things and just maybe go liens 101 for lack of better terms. But what what can you tell us just on the high level about liens and what a lien is? And we'll dig into like when would I use one and some of those things.
Sure. So liens are statutory created, meaning that every single state has their own law with respect to construction liens, or also known as a mechanics lien, and how you can file one, when you should file one, and what type of information is required for the claimant, which in this case will be the contractor, to be listed in the document and recorded at the courthouse, the recorder's office, wherever the state requires us to do so. So, the one thing about lien, the most important um, aspect of it, in my opinion, is that it's the only method for a contractor to secure a payment that is owed to them. Because when you guys go out and do work on a house, your money is not tied to a real estate. It's not tied to a tangible property. A mortgage is attached to your home, or to your right? A mortgage is attached to your home. But a contractor's money is just floating out there until they get paid by the homeowner or the property owner. So a way for us to secure this payment is we file a construction lien, and through that, we're attaching the payment owed to the contractor to a real property. And by doing so, it gives the contractor a lot of leverage, a lot of protection, and a very good avenue of collecting what they are owed. And just a brief history lesson, lien laws were first created in 1791 by Thomas Jefferson. And the first lien laws were created in DC. And the intent behind it was Thomas Jefferson wanted to build DC, but he also needed to address all of the contractors' concerns about they do all of this work and they're not getting paid, and they have no avenue for payment except for going through the legal system, which we all know is very expensive and time consuming. So Thomas Jefferson started, with the lien rights in Washington, D.C., and it just spread throughout all 50 states. So it's a legal right that is afforded to every contractor in every state, but they're specific to your state. They're not consistent across all 50.
Awesome. So that's some good information. It actually leads me to a few questions that I would have here. Um, I love it. It sounds like it's a form of leverage then for the contractor, essentially. when do I need to put that piece of leverage in place? If that makes sense, when do I need to be thinking about leaning a property? Is that something I do on the front end during like on the back end, or when do contractors leverage this?
So let's talk from a business perspective. You want to lien a property, regardless if it's commercial or residential, when you have doubt in getting paid and your lien rights are coming up. So, like I mentioned previously, every state has a time, has a clock on when your lien rights expire. So, in Michigan, for example, your lien rights expire 90 days after your last date of furnishing of labor or material. So you only have 90 days. So if within this 90 days you think the client or the customer is not going to pay you, and some of them are like easy red flags, right? They get the insurance check, they're MIA, they don't return your phone calls, they just have given you such a hard time throughout the project. You haven't been able to collect any of the partial payments you agreed to under contract or draws from the insurance company, or you think the property may be up for sale, or there's been talks by the homeowner or property owner that they're going to sell the property. So go ahead and lien those properties. You don't have to wait till day 89, for example, in Michigan, because we have 90 days to lien. You can lien anywhere from your last date of work up until when the clock runs out. And you do that because you want to be able to determine what the final number of your project is to be able to lien for the full amount. To just give some other examples, in North Dakota, you have 120 days from last day of work, but you have 3 years to enforce it. So enforcement is through foreclosure process. So it's a quick turnaround. Hey, go ahead and lien it within 120 days, but you get 3 years to enforce it. In Michigan, we get 90 days to file a lien, but only 1 year to enforce it. Ohio gives 6 years of enforcing your lien. So each state is very different. And that's why you have to be familiar at minimum with the deadline of how long you have to lien your property from the last date of work. And that's very important. So the basic thing we need to know about a lien, if you guys ever have to file it, is figure out the last day of work and calculate the duration of the lien clock, I call it. So 90 days in Michigan, 120 days in North Dakota, for example.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because there's a lot of the contractors are going to be joining us that would be working in multiple states, and so it sounds like having a pulse on the lean clock for all the states that you're actively working in, or oftentimes with the restoration world, there's I don't want to say chase, but you're working in where the weather or the event occurred, and so if you're planning on going and setting up in some of these places that have been dealt with Mother Nature in a negative way, make sure you understand what are the lean clocks in that particular state. Um, the other question that I want to kind of go to is more on the misconceptions of liens and some maybe common things that when you work with contractors, maybe they know the lien clock and they know that they can use that as a tool or a leverage piece to get paid. But what are some things that you commonly see these contractors maybe not quite fully grasping when it comes to liens?
The most common one I deal with is that the contractors fail to utilize their right to lien. Is your legal right is given to you to lien a property, right? But being the good people we are, especially in the restoration business, we always go in after the worst condition of especially a homeowner. Their house just caught on fire, they're flooded, hurricane took the roof away, whatever it may be. So we want to trust the homeowner and work with them and wait for the insurance money to come in. But a lot of time it takes longer than the amount of time we have to lien the house. So I don't want leaning a house to become an aggressive collection approach. That's not what I intend to do here. Rather is having an honest conversation with a homeowner. Some homeowners, some property owners flat out don't want to pay, right? We know those red flags. So go ahead and lien them for your protection. But in cases of hurricanes, or just in some instances that insurance is like taking its time to pay out, which a lot of times they do, talk to the homeowner, be like, listen, I have to file a lien against your house just to secure my payment, but I will take it off of your house as soon as I receive the payment. This way, if anything comes up, if any issues, workmanship allegations, or whatever else the homeowner, the property owner wants to throw at you, you've already secured your payment. So when we all had this experience with a very good homeowner, works through a project with us, they're the best homeowner customer we've ever had, but they receive $100,000 check from their insurance company after the work is completed, they may have a change of heart. So that's why we should have all those communications up front and explain why it is we're leaning it for customers that are just good customers, but the payment is delayed.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very valuable point because, it is for your protection as the contractor. It's your legal right, but it probably does, in a lot of cases, set like a negative tone to the relationship. What happens, say in Michigan, for instance, I have the 90-day lien clock, and then I have 1 year to enforce. What happens if my contractor and insurance and myself, we're still going back and forth on getting paid? I haven't received those insurance proceeds. Is that something where the lien or the enforcement can be extended, or how does that work?
Good question. So, lien laws in almost all 50 states are very strict. Whatever is written on that legal statute, the statutory law language, whatever is written is very strictly followed within the courts, because it is we're taking away something from a homeowner. I'm focused on homeowners because they're individuals and they need a lot more protection through the laws versus proper commercial property owners. So the law is written in a way that gives contractors access to secure their payment, but also they've kept in mind that they don't want contractors to take advantage. So when Michigan says you have 90 days to lien, you better believe it, you have 90 days to lien. You cannot extend it. You cannot agree to extend it. You cannot enter into a contract with the homeowner, with the insurance company, with whoever else you want to include in there. Is unenforceable. You cannot lien a property after the lien clock runs out. So that was actually one of the other misconceptions out there. Thank you for bringing it up. Is you can extend it, you can't extend it. There may be some exceptions in some states, but in the majority of states, you can't extend it. So that's why you have to utilize your right to be able to get protected.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question on liens, and then I want to dive into contracts a little bit as well. Um, so I had the lien clock, whether that be 90 days, 120 days, obviously. Uh, I'm sure it'd be nice for you if it was just consistent across all the states, but it does vary. How quickly can I like put a lien on a property? Like if I wait till day 89, is there going to be so much legwork that getting it actually done before day 90 is going to be improbable? Like, do I need to be actually thinking about, like, at day 60, I need to be making my decision if I'm going to lien a property within that 90-day clock?
Very good question. So filing the lien, we have to, let's use Michigan again, because a lot of states are similar with the process. We have to take it to the county records office, right? So wherever the property is located, we have to go to the county's recorder's office and record our lien there, and usually it's within the circuit court. So if you're going to utilize an online filing, well, they're not going to get it to it ASAP. So if you're leaning on date 89, is not from the date of submission, is the date where the court put its stamp on it. So it's going to take them a few days to go get to your document and file it. If you're at day 89, you better run to the courthouse or the recorder's office or wherever it is. Physically take it in. Don't mail it in, because it needs to be filed on the deadline, whatever your deadline is on that date. After that, it's ineffective, and the homeowner can challenge it, and they will win on that because you filed after the 90 days, 120 days, or whatever your lien deadline was. But We can get to it a little later as well as we go through contracts. But for liens, I think, um, again, the red flag customers, lien them as early as you can. With customers that you have to wait, you have a good relationship, and you just want to give them some time, don't wait more than 30 days prior to when your lien is due, just because you want to give yourself to submit the lien. And depending on your approach of submitting it, if you mail it in, you want to have time for it to be returned to you if you've made a mistake to refile, or if the court is busy, or if there's any holidays in between. So considering all of that, minimum 30 days prior to when your liens are due, I would say go ahead and start that process.